Welcome to the Freedom Founder Podcast. I'm your host, Zach Duggar. Now, have you ever thought about starting a business on the side, maybe a side hustle? You hear a lot of people talking about that these days. My guest today, Kyle Hohler, started his business on the side as he was working second and third shift jobs while cutting trees and managing the business during the day. At 27 years old, he's now been full-time with the business for several years as he started that back in 2014. He's a certified arborist, certified in tree risk assessment, and a certified crane operator. K&H Tree is a local family-like company with the goal of being part of and creating a more professional tree care industry. Now, recently, he married the love of his life, who has been with him through this entire entrepreneurial journey. And they have a beautiful golden retriever named Harper. And outside of the tree world, because life does exist outside of the business world, one of his hobbies, of course, is trees, but he also enjoys spending time with his family, bird hunting with Harper, and dabbling in some photography. So Kyle, thank you for joining me today. Oh, I lost Kyle. Hopefully Kyle comes back on. I know there are a few people watching out there that are going to be interested in hearing a little bit more about Kyle's story. And some of you already know Kyle's story just from knowing him as an individual. The best thing for me personally is that Kyle is also a Michigan resident, which is something that not all of my guests have been. I am from Kalamazoo, Michigan, and Kyle hails from Mattawan, Michigan. So I'm going to reach out to him, see if we can get him back in real quickly so that you can continue to hear a little bit more of his story. There we go. Hey, Kyle, we're back.
Sorry.
So no worries. I filled the gap a little bit, finished the discussion in regards to your bio, and would love to kind of get started in the conversation.
Awesome.
Just mentioned that you hail also from Michigan, which I appreciate, being that I'm from Kalamazoo, and a lot of the guests I've spoken to have been from all across the United States, actually. So it's really great to talk with someone closer to home.
That's right. Born and raised.
Yeah, I love starting the conversation with getting an idea of how my guest got started. As we mentioned in the introduction, you were working other jobs while operating the tree business during the day. So let's talk a little bit about that. What type of work were you doing? Was the tree business something that you had always thought about getting into?
So yeah, I think in high school I kind of started splitting firewood, cutting firewood, just as like a side hustle.
Yep.
One of a few I had at the time. But then yeah, out of high school, I worked a couple years at Pfizer, and somewhere along the lines, the firewood turned into cutting trees. No real distinct transition. I think
Sure.
just along the way it evolved, and yeah, I worked at Pfizer for 2.5 years, and I worked second shift and cut
Okay.
trees in the morning. And then yeah, I actually got a third shift job and left Pfizer as a 911 operator dispatcher,
Okay.
and then cut trees during the day. So yeah, it's been an adventure. I think I've been doing it full time now for 3 or 4 years, but it does seem like a blur.
Yeah. So you're being a part of saving lives at night and taking care of the trees during the day.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, it was a busy time in my life.
Yeah. I mean, thinking about that, if you're working another job at night, when did you sleep?
Yeah, so I worked shifts. We
Okay.
worked a couple of weeks. Yeah, there's a lot of lost, a lot of 2 hour naps and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, that might be also why it went by in a blur.
Yeah,
So
I don't mean it bad.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing I know. Oh, we're a little choppy. I don't know if I caught your answer on that one. In regards to the lack of sleep, there were some short naps, but also, yeah, we're just getting some choppiness to your answer. So I'm gonna ask another question. Hopefully, this one will come through fine, though. So, when did you decide to make that transition from part-time tree business to full-time tree business?
Service that I yeah, really family. I wasn't getting enough time to spend with family and stuff like that, and that made it a little bit easier. My still choppy.
Yeah, definitely still choppy on the answer. So, kind of sounded a bit garbled. So I didn't quite get the timeline there. Getting a little. Okay. So you look like you're back in a. I'm seeing you well again.
Okay. I've got you the whole time.
Okay. Um, what year was it then that you went full time with the tree business?
Uh, I want to say it was probably 2019. I believe in the
Okay.
fall of 2019.
Okay. All right. And then, how did you make that decision to? It was time to go ahead and switch to that full time.
I think it really came down to the lack of time I was getting to spend with family and stuff like that. You just kind of weigh your priorities, and the financials made sense. So it felt like a big jump then, but it seems now looking back, it seems like an obvious decision. But
Yeah.
it didn't feel like that back then.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's like a leap of faith when you make that decision that you need to go ahead and quit that secure full time
Right.
job and
Yes.
then go into business yourself full time. I mean, you're risking the potential of not having the success that you're seeing. You're already starting on, but you're also, if you did make the decision not to move forward, you're risking the potential of having that success that you've now started
Right.
to see that train continue to move on.
Right.
So talk about those first few years then. So 2019, you're starting that process full time. How did that go? Did you have any impact? I don't like to talk about the pandemic, but you're starting to thought hit right at the same time. So did that have any impact? Thankfully, you were outside.
Yeah, definitely did not. It
Good.
strangely seemed like people spent a lot of time at home and had big ideas for projects at home. So yeah, no impact at all. We've seen an increase in business every year since. So
Excellent.
um, yeah, it's been good and it grows every year, and I'm amazed by it every year. But it keeps happening.
Yeah, and then how about you couldn't do everything yourself, so now you have grown a little bit from just yourself. How many employees do you have? And at peak times, I know you don't always just have employees, you're also contracting others to work with you, or you're getting asked to work alongside of others. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so now there's three of us all year round and then through the
Okay.
winter. There's usually five or six of us in the spring, summer, and fall. We'll contract some other tree companies to help us on larger road commission projects and county projects and stuff like that. So yeah, there's three of us full time, but then yeah, there's a lot of other people that help us along the way.
Yeah. What has been the most challenging job that you've done as it relates to trees? You know, and myself, I'm very naive when it comes to this. All I think about is if a tree's dying and it's really tall, I probably can't get up there and cut it down myself.
Yeah, and it's good you realize that because some people do not. Some people give it a try, but uh, yeah, I would say the challenging ones are usually on the lake properties.
Okay.
Uh, Usually, the lakeside large tree removals are at least the most technical.
Yeah.
Certainly, the larger county projects can be challenging just from a volume standpoint, but
Yeah.
technical wise, the lake house is really they really top it.
Is that due to the ability to get your equipment in the areas or position you would like to?
Yeah, limited access, and they always
Okay.
seem to be, the houses are always so close, and yeah, but limited access is really everything.
Have have you had any close encounters while you've been out doing the work or any of the guys that have been working with you?
I mean, I would say we've had several near misses.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's always room for improvement, but yeah, I mean, tree work's a pretty dangerous industry, so there are several near misses and learning opportunities for sure.
Yeah. Yep. I can imagine. I imagine that's got to be the case with a lot of different businesses, but working in anything physical and things where you're climbing above certain heights, it's going to be something that you got to be mindful of safety protocol. So imagine you've had to develop different protocols and even make improvements on those protocols within your organization to keep people safe, right?
Yep, yep. We're lucky enough to have an industry that sets safety standards pretty clearly. Uh,
Awesome.
so yeah, it's a nice guideline to follow for sure. But there's just a lot of unknown variables and stuff like that to consider. Every tree is different, every situation is different. So, but yeah, applying those safety practices is definitely important.
Thinking about trees and yeah, again, naivete speaking here, somebody who doesn't know much about trees and when things should be done. If I were to look around in my own yard, around the fence line, the perimeter, I can see dead branches and I can see massive limbs that have that potential to fall. I mean, when should people actually be thinking about, I should have somebody come out and take a look and just give me a recommendation,
It's funny because most of the time people think about it after something happens.
right?
Or after a big storm and they see a lot of damage in the neighborhood, something like that. That's usually when
Yeah.
most people think about it is, after something fallen or something like that. But yeah, I mean, trees are a big liability, so they're definitely something to be aware of and cognizant of
Yeah.
and pay attention to. But they also provide good benefits. So it's a risk balance, and everybody's
Yeah.
tolerance is different for sure.
Right, right. That makes sense. And for those that aren't aware, that we had a pretty significant ice storm. Gosh, I want to say it was over a month ago.
Yeah, it
Uh,
was 23rd of February.
yes, and we just spoke before going live on this broadcast. You were still working on some of that tree removal and cleanup this
Yeah.
past weekend.
Yeah, I would say for a solid month we worked on it 6 days a week. And now we're filtering back in our regular clients who've been patiently waiting for us. But yeah, there's still some lingering damage for sure.
But I just noticed that we have a couple people that have indicated they're here for you on this podcast. We have Cooper, Ashley, Daniel. uh, See a lot of supporters out there in the work that you're doing. So, what do you see is next for you? Just continuing in the local area? Are you thinking about expanding beyond this area, or what are your thoughts if you have had some kind of vision casting for the future?
Yeah, I think we'll always be a local service,
Yep.
serving residential and commercial clients. We'll probably look to add a second crew at some point
Hmm.
as it makes sense, but definitely as the workload increases, we're having a harder and harder time keeping up with it as a single crew
Sure.
company. So, yeah, I think we will just keep continuing to find the right people and expanding locally.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love that. I think that speaks to that hometown kind of aspect and working in the local market and supporting the people around you, the family owned business. And I really like that and appreciate it. Um, and I just noticed you have Aunt Alice and UJ are here supporting you. Homer
Yeah, that's the
and
nickname.
Melissa. And Melissa indicates that Kyle is the best. So, in regards to being a small business owner, one of the things that I think about is that you learn things as you get started and as you continue to move through the years. If someone were to ask you for a couple of tips on starting a small business or some things you've learned, what would you say to them? What kind of advice would you give somebody?
uh, I guess my advice would be to just see every opportunity through, because there's definitely some hard times and some times where it doesn't seem like it's going to make sense. But doing the right thing and just seeing the opportunity through the tough times is probably my best recommendation.
Yeah. Yep. So continuing to stick with it and have that fortitude and continue to work through the challenges, it sounds like, is a key component in
Yeah.
success. Okay. And it really is clear from those that are watching this podcast or episode right now that you have a lot of also family support too, and family and friends that are really around you and supporting the work that you're doing and continued success as well.
Yep. Couldn't do it myself. So I've got a big family and a big support team, that's for sure.
Yeah, so surrounding yourself not only with the employees, the people that are working with you, but the family and friends that can continue to sustain you and can encourage you along the side. I'm going to emphasize that for anyone that's listening and anyone that listens to this in the future, that is a big part of being successful in business and really a lot of ways in life. If you don't have that support, you can get down, beat on yourself mentally, and you don't have that fortitude and wherewithal to continue to stick with it. So I applaud you for that. Absolutely. Um, yeah, let's just go back because I want to hit this question that someone asked about in regards to safety. Just in regards to the things that you do to help maintain that safety. What kind of equipment and ways that you're kind of keeping yourself safe out there for those family and friends? I want to make sure that you are doing so.
Well, we have really expensive helmets. We have communication equipment a lot of companies don't have. So we actually have a device on our helmets
Yep.
with speakers and microphones. So, all five of us on the job site can talk to each other in normal voices, even when the equipment's running and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. We have chainsaw protection pants that are very expensive
Yep.
to protect our legs from chainsaws. And I know there's a lot more, but definitely those few
Yeah.
are big.
Yep. Imagine some type of harnesses at times that you're having to wear.
Yep, harnesses up
Yep.
in the lift. Yeah, certainly.
Yeah. Absolutely. So definitely, there's people that are absolutely supporting you and concerned about your safety, but you are on top of it, which I love it. So, in
Yes, sir.
regards to my favorite question that I like to ask our interviewees, if you were to be given $1 million, no restrictions, what would you do with that in regards to investing in your business and why?
So we've always kind of invested in like specialized equipment. We have a couple special pieces of equipment. One of them's like a telehandler with a grapple saw on it. So
Okay.
actually from Italy, and it was the first in Michigan. So,
Wow.
but that specialized equipment allows us to do work a lot safer. We can reach up
Okay.
into the tree, cut a tree branch, and bring it down, and not even have to go up into the tree with a chainsaw at all. So,
Yeah.
I think the specialized equipment makes a big difference in the forestry environment. So, if I were
Okay.
given $1 million, I think I would. I'd buy a really special chipper and and probably
Yep.
some other really special pieces of
Yeah.
equipment.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. I mean, in reality, it goes quick when your business requires equipment, and so. But it sounds like there'd be a lot of ways that you could use it for specialized equipment for increased safety and efficiencies, and um, continue to put it to work. So
Yeah.
continue to provide the good service that you're doing in the area in which you live. Now, if anyone wanted to reach out and to find more about your services and the work that you're doing, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
Certainly by phone. We have an admin, Ashley, that answers the phone.
Okay.
Um, we have a website, khtreecare.com, and you could fill out an
Okay.
online request for service. But yeah, we're on Facebook here and there. Probably should post a little bit more, but we're usually out busy cutting trees. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, phone, email, website, those are all great ways to get a hold of us.
All right. KHTreeCare.com.
Yes.
Definitely reach out for all your tree needs. Now, if you're in the area that's going to be around, like Matawan, Kalamazoo, what is this area in which you serve currently?
Kalamazoo, plus or minus 30 miles. So about a 30-mile
Okay.
radius from Kalamazoo.
Okay. All right. So for those listening outside of state, sorry, they're not serving you there.
That's right.
uh, but absolutely, if you're closer to the Kalamazoo area, definitely reach out. This is a great individual that's serving the community and growing a strong, solid business, and a great community of family and friends supporting him. So, Kyle, I want to thank you for your time and joining us for this episode. Thank you for powering through the little choppiness at the beginning that didn't occur as we continued along this path. So I
Well,
appreciate that as well.
I really appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. I definitely look forward to hearing more about how things progress in the future, as well as calling you for my tree care needs.
I look forward to it.